A very good morning to you, dear, and welcome to the iDEA Morning Digest. And today is the 26th of January 2026, Monday. And yes, this is how I, welcome you to the show where you get better perspectives about things concerning science, innovation, technology, entrepreneurship, and all of those things, policies, development, all of those things that matters in our life. My name is Cynthia Bassi, and of course, I am never alone, or I was alone sometimes last week, but today I'm not alone. I'm not alone. Today I'm with Mary. Mary, good morning.
Good morning from me, Mary Ojumajo. Good morning this beautiful morning.
Okay, this is a beautiful morning, of course. And yes, if you like what we do here, you can send in your thoughts, send in your ideas, send in your opinions to us at iDEA Television. That's on all our social media platforms. And of course, via our email at iDEA TV Limited. We want to hear from you. But before that, let's go through the news we'll be bringing your way this morning. And the first is that discos reject federal government's free electricity meter plan. And then the federal government targets 3 trillion naira savings as 14 million farmers join CASSAVA BIO-ETHANOL drive. And then lastly, Egypt, Algeria, and Nigeria lead Africa in 2026 global military ranking. That's what we'll be bringing your way. But then do not forget that on the discussion segment, we'll have a guest who's going to be talking about education. On Saturday was World Education Day. Yes, International World Education Day. So we'll be talking about it. And we'll have a guest who is going to be joining us later on. But then let's go on a quick break. We'll be right back. You stay with us.
iDEA Television.
Democratize generative AI. Generative AI, which creates new content like text, images, or music, is becoming more accessible. This trend is enabling businesses and individuals to leverage powerful AI tools without needing deep technical expertise. Tools like DALL-E are already transforming marketing, entertainment, and design. However, as generative AI becomes democratized, concerns about copyright infringement and misuse of content are rising.
Don't mind the guys from the control room, but then this is welcome back. This is still the iDEA Morning Digest, and yes, the first story we're bringing to you this morning is that power distribution companies have rejected the federal government's directive that prepaid electricity meters must be provided free to all customers. The order was issued on Thursday. The order was issued on Thursday by the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, during an inspection of newly imported smart meters in Lagos, warning that any official or installer who collects money will face prosecution. Disco operators say the announcement did not account for cost recovery or stakeholder input. They argue that the meters funded under a World Bank program will still be paid for by the distribution companies over time, while installers who are not DISCO staff must also be paid. According to them, forcing DISCOs to absorb these costs without tariff adjustment could worsen their financial position. The operators also warned that the declaration could disrupt the meter asset provider scheme, as customers now expect free meters across the board. They are urging the government and the electricity regulator to clarify who will bear the cost of metering, insisting that any sustainable reform must clearly define funding and recovery mechanisms. Yes, I think this announcement sounds really good because I just hope it's not one of those like we always say, policies that will not bring people to book, that will not clearly bring people to book to answer those basic questions. So we are hoping that this new initiative or policy, bring all the basic answers with all the questions we're asking, and because everyone wants free meter,
Exactly.
everyone wants free meter, but Nigerians are tired of estimated billings. We are tired of, arguing with NEPA. Oh, sorry. With discourse. So I think politically this is a very sweet message. This is a very sweet message. But the governance needs to be backed up by action. Governance it should no longer be a slogan, because these days it just seems like governance is just a slogan. But what bothers me here is that when the government announces free in quotes, somebody somewhere will still be paying something for it. So
Exactly.
I don't, electricity is not magic. We should understand that because, all of these meters, they will not fall from the sky.
Of
We
course.
pay for it, whether we like it or not, we pay for it. But, and even the people installing it, they will not install it based on, how should I call it, based on goodwill or some kind of benevolence I do not know how to put. But I just feel like whether we love or hate the discos, they are already operating in a market rather that where tariff does not fully reflect cost. So you can't keep loading responsibilities on a sector that is already financially fragile and then will not act surprised when service delivery collapses. So we need to, do better when it comes to this sector, because if we keep pretending discos are the only villains in the power sector, then there's problem. We'll never fix electricity issue in Nigeria. We have to understand that there are genuine issues of inefficiency and accountability. And yes, we have to understand that there are bureaucracy issues. We have to understand that there's transparency issues, accountability issues as well. But all of this policy inconsistency, they just keep on, damaging the system, and that is not what we want. You cannot run a regulated industry like the electricity industry on ministerial pronouncements alone. We should know how the market work. We should understand the market. If not, I mean, that's why we are seeing the markets panicking. Everybody is, panicking. Customers, consumers are panicking. The electricity providers are panicking. And also, I think this announcement also undermines some existing frameworks like the meter assets, how do they call it, provider scheme. Because investors will hear this and they will think that, so government can wake up tomorrow, and change the rules. Yes, but that's not how you attract long-term capital. So the bottom line here is that free meters may be satisfying at this point in time, but unless government clearly, state who pays what, how it is being paid, and over what time. So we need to understand all of these things. This will just become another, very good policy, and then at the end of the day, they will not meet necessity. But then that's the much I can say.
I was thinking that I was going to hear buy one and get one free, but the way it's looking, it's going to be given for free now.
Let's just start with one first.
Exactly. So since they are looking at the aspect of giving these meters for free, like you said, who are they going to hold responsible for the payment? And talking about transparency and accountability, it's very important we know who we would hold for that at the end of the day, because these things they are doing now, you cannot tell me you want to have a nice market strategy and you're giving meters out for free. It sounds exciting, because at some point when I was reading the news, I felt like, okay, this would benefit me, let me go get my own too. But at the end of the day, who comes out? Who do we hold for that at the end of the day? So I just feel that they should balance up everything and make it very clear to both customers and both the discos operators.
Let us understand. It's not the one that you
let's
come
not be
back
confused
and you get
at the end of the day. So you know what you are paying for, because you might go there and they'll tell you it's not for free, while you've already gotten the announcement by the government that it's for free. Then we'll now stand confused. So that state of confusion is what we don't want to encounter.
Exactly.
We just want everything to be balanced, and they should be straightforward with us. They should have an agreement with this board, these bodies, and know how they are going to put everything in order for us to understand and know what we're doing and how we're getting these numbers at the end of the day.
Exactly. Okay, I think that brings us to the next story we have here, and that the federal government says it is moving to empower 14 million smallholder farmers through a cassava BIO-ETHANOL project aimed at cutting through import costs and strengthening Nigeria's bioeconomy. And the initiative could save the country over 3 trillion naira annually by blending bioethanol with petrol. The Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Senator Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, disclosed this last week in Enugu at a stakeholder workshop for the Southeast Zone. He said the project links agriculture to energy transition, positioning cassava as a strategic industrial crop while creating jobs and boosting rural incomes. The program will be implemented through a public-private knowledge partnership providing improved cassava varieties, expanding technology and market access, and integrating farmers into industrial production across the full value chain. I think this is another very interesting story too. And honestly, I feel like it is one of it's more intelligent conversations we've had around energy transition in Nigeria. This is one of them, I mean, and I feel like linking cassava farming to fuel production is very, very smart. First of all, this has just been rolled out, written down, like we always say, but I think it is very smart to start with. It is very smart, and it speaks to, should I say, it speaks to diversification, rural development as well, because the main focus is on rural development and, especially farmers in the rural areas, and, reducing all of those our embarrassing dependence on imported fuel. So, I mean, I think it's a very smart thinking here, and it also tries to answer a deeper question of how do ordinary Nigerians, benefit from the energy transition. Because most of the time when we talk about energy transition, I've heard a lot of people complain that it's big, sophisticated language, it's a big language, nobody really understands, how others can get along, how people in the rural area can be included in this. But I think now this is trying to answer those questions. But where I feel like my instinct is kicking in is that I'm seeing 14 million farmers. 14 million farmers is no small figure, first of all. And this is not a pilot project, if I am getting it correctly. And this is more like a national restructuring for the agriculture and energy sectors combined. So when I hear numbers that is this big, I begin to wonder, and so many questions comes to my mind. Do we have logistics in place? Is our processing capacity, strong enough? Is it ready? What about our storage facilities? I'm asking different questions, even transport infrastructure too. Our roads, most of the things, issues, what farmers complain about, aside all other issues we know about, is transportation, especially because of bad road networks. And, most importantly, that trust too. Do farmers really trust? That trust, where that trust of farmers, where does it come in rather? Because Nigerian farmers since I've been growing up, I've been hearing reforms, and I'm sure Nigerian farmers have heard more than I have heard. So I just feel like my unpopular it's a unpopular truth this time. I just feel like cassava is already a food security crop in Nigeria. So if it is not managed carefully, then it's more like we risk competing with food supply, and also pushing prices up, and should I say even hurting the same people we are trying to empower at the end of the day, which are the farmers. Exactly. So take Brazil, for instance. Brazil made BIO-ETHANOL work because it, built an ecosystem that it built an ecosystem that is around the research. I talked about this last week when we were talking about what Rwanda are doing with importing bull from the US and whatnot for their dairy and milk production. So this kind of I just feel like we should build an ecosystem that will be entirely around research, around pricing stability, around standardization, around even farmer protection, so that we can upscale the industry. So I just feel like this idea is very solid. First of all, it's very solid, and it's a visionary idea, a very big idea. But the success will count when we put the real work into action. Not from all of these. It will count when all of those pricing are guaranteed. When there's transparency in such reforms. When you make sure that farmers don't become raw material suppliers who remain poor while others capture the value. Yes, that as they are producing, there should be part of the value. There should be properly, there should be properly, fixed into the, value chain. But it's a good reform.
Exactly,
altogether.
It's a good one. We're looking forward to seeing the practical aspect of all these things that have been said and mentioned so far. He said the project links agriculture to energy transition. I love that, positioning cassava as a strategic industrial crop while creating jobs, and very important, the creating job got to me, and boosting rural incomes, which is also very important. And we're also talking about industrial production across the full value chain. Very important. Like you said, the transportation aspect of it is very, very necessary. You know, getting all this crop together without transporting, taking it from one place to another is another thing to look into. And when you check our road these days, you get to know that most roads are bad, and most of these vehicles conveying these crops are actually not very, very capable, or they have some fault here and there. So that should be looked into also, which is very important. Empowering farmers, like I said last week, it's very important that our farmers are being empowered, and this is one of the ways to expand, you know, technology and market access, which is also very important. So like you said, not farmers having to sell these crops at the end of the day and looking poor after everything. They'll be like, you're a farmer, you've been cashing out, will not be seen the, you know, in you. So I like the fact that they are able to empower farmers, expanding, you know, technology and market access, and integrating farmers into industrial production. That's a very nice one there.
Okay, then to our last story for today, we'll move to Egypt, as Egypt has retained its position as Africa's strongest, okay, not just Egypt, I think it's 3 countries here. Egypt has retained its position as Africa's strongest military, according to the 2026 Global Firepower Index released on Friday. The annual ranking assesses 145 countries using over 60 indicators, including manpower. But now, I think let's talk about this military ranking, because I think I love this list. Because yes, we have Egypt, Algeria, Nigeria leading Africa. Sounds very impressive, and it's, you know, it feels my national pride. Yes,
okay.
but I always caution people about, you know, military strength on reports, on indexes, on paper. It's not the same as security on the ground. So we have to come to terms with that. Because Nigeria being high on the list tells us we have manpower. Yes, it tells us we have manpower, we have equipment, and we have skill. Then why are we complaining sometimes about not having all of these things on ground? But like I said before, let it not just be on paper. You get? Because I think what it doesn't automatically tell us, what reports like this doesn't automatically tell us, is how effectively that power is deployed internally. You know, our biggest security challenges are always, and most times, should I say, asymmetric, terrorism, banditry, all of those, insurgency, you know, not conventional state-to-state wars. So I just feel like ranking 33rd globally doesn't mean citizens feel safe on highways. Doesn't mean that kidnappings have reduced. Doesn't mean that our farmers can now go back to their farms and drink water and keep cup down and say, okay, yes, this is it, and have peace of mind. Doesn't mean that girls will still go back to school and not being feared of, you know, especially in the Northeast, and not being feared of being taken away or carried somewhere into some bushes we don't know. And another thing we do not like to talk about, we do not like to say out loud, and I will say it, is that yes, most times military power without institutional coordination doesn't always deliver peace. So countries like Egypt rank high, partly because they have more like a centralized command structure and long-term military, should I call it doctrine? Long-term military doctrine. But Nigeria's challenge has always been coordination between intelligence. We've seen it over time, between intelligence communication, between policing, between military and political leadership. We saw it where, which state, was it Zamfara? Or which state were saying another thing? The federal government, police were saying another thing, federal government were saying another thing. So we've lacked, our problem has been communication over time, intelligence communication and all of those things. So I feel like why this ranking is not meaningless, it's very useful. It shows that we are working. First of all, like I said earlier, it shows that we have, our workforce is strong, we have manpower. We have the equipment on ground, yes, and we have the skill. We have enough military personnel on ground. That's what this shows to me.
Exactly.
But I just feel like this ranking is not meaningless, like I started off saying. It shouldn't, it doesn't mean that it should distract us from what is on ground. We should understand that our real strength is measured by stability, is measured by safety, is measured by peace. If people can, you know, and all of those deterrents and you know, the ability to prevent conflict, if people can have peace in Nigeria and be assured that they can go out and come back and nothing will happen to them. I mean, it's not that you cannot go out and come back to your house these days, but you go out with fear.
With fear.
You are in the car, you are looking at the person seated next to you, and you are like, you are thinking and hoping if you are safe. So we just want where we can, you know, go out and come back and be sure that we are, you know, safe, not just responding to conflict when it arises. So I just feel like if Nigeria truly, I'm particular about Nigeria, sorry, here, because I'm very familiar with our own climb. Because if Nigeria truly wants to, you know, be Africa's security anchor, then we must invest, you know, in, it must go beyond the equipment. It must just go beyond the scale. Scale is important, you know, but it must go to intelligence, you know, welfare, that's military personnel welfare, you know, civil military trust too. It must go to governance, and you know, all of these things must be put in place. Otherwise, you know, we'll just remain strong on reports every day, and then we'll be vulnerable in practice. But then I like this, and it's a good way to start.
Somebody will just look at it and be like, okay, they're ranking us high. Is that where it ends?
I think this will charge us.
For it to look more important in the eyes of many people, we have to put it in practice, like I always used to say. Let's have the strong military and policing force that would make people have comfort wherever they are and know that Nigeria is a place where you come and then you are secured. You'll not be bothered about the insecurity, even if there is insecurity, which it's not possible to just fight it like that, just fight it all like that, but at least let there be some extent of the, you know, the peace where people can do their businesses free and have peace of mind, like you said. Should I say I'm looking forward to? Okay, I'm always looking forward. I'm always looking forward to this to be put in practice. Actually, so yes, that is all I want to say.
Yes, so together, we love the list. We love the list, and
love
we
the
just
list. It's encouraging.
Yes, it is encouraging.
Yeah.
I hope things like this motivates. You know, will motivate the force. You know, motivations here and there sometimes, once in a while, is always very good. It's going to boost morale. I think this is obviously going to boost the morale. Yeah, morale. I think this is obviously going to boost the morale of the military. Well, altogether, congratulations. Is this something we must congratulate
Yes, we should,
them for?
actually.
Egypt, Algeria. Am I getting them
Morocco.
correctly? Yes, Egypt, Algeria, Nigeria, Morocco, and all of them who made it. South Africa, yes. Well, who what US topping the list? How?
Okay.
I mean, it's very obvious that the US will, you know, top the
the
list.
list.
But then that's the much we can take for today on our news review segment. But yes, we are coming with a discussion segment later. But let's take a recap of the news we brought to you. First of all, we saw that the DSCOs reject federal government's free electricity meter plan. And then the federal government targets 3 trillion naira savings as 40 million farmers join CASSAVA BIO-ETHANOL drive. And then lastly, Egypt, Algeria, and Nigeria lead Africa in 2026 global military ranking. I like how that flowed. Algeria, Nigeria. Okay, that's the much you can take from that segment. Let's go on a quick break before we come back and, you know, tell you a little. Yes, like I said before, on Saturday was International Day of Education. That's on the 24th of this year. And we want to know why youth are now, because this year's theme is on co-creation, is on the power of youth in co-creating education. And that's a very, very powerful team for this year. A very powerful charge, especially for youth. I really want to understand how youth comes into play, the role we have to play in ensuring that our educational system
Very
is
strong.
very, strong, especially down here in
In
Nigeria.
Africa.
And that's why we are bringing a young person who is an expert in this field. She's an educationist, she's an
Okay.
advocate too for education and gender equality as well. So let's go on this quick break. We'll be back with the discussion segment.
Five G technology. 5G technology promises to be a game changer by delivering ultra-fast internet speeds, low latency, and the ability to connect millions of devices seamlessly. It's going to fuel the future of smart cities, autonomous vehicles, and IoT devices, allowing them to communicate in real time. However, 5G rollout isn't without hurdles. High costs of infrastructure and regulatory issues in some regions have slowed down implementation. By 2026, the 5G market is expected to be valued at $667.90 billion, with the US, China, and South Korea leading the change. The challenge? Cybersecurity risks and data privacy will remain top concerns as more devices become connected. AI augmented development. AI is now revolutionizing software development by automating code generation, testing, and debugging. Tools like GitHub Copilot suggest code snippets in real time, significantly speeding up the development process. However, developers need to remain cautious, as over-reliance on AI tools could introduce security vulnerabilities. As companies push for faster software delivery, AI augmented development is becoming essential for maintaining competitiveness. Blockchain technology. Blockchain is most commonly associated with crypto